Are there any questions?
Hi, Magdi.
Hello, Anne.
Over the last couple of nights when I've been contemplating and being, it's seen very clearly that this idea of me, the whole concept and feeling and images, almost like a bubble of who I really think I am and feel, and is not real. It's a dream. And when it's coming to me, it's almost like seeing it like a bubble. And it feels, I've seen it before, but it seems to be very clear these last couple of days. And I can't understand why I'm seeing it or what, because obviously something's seeing it from the outside. You know, something's seeing it, the consciousness or awareness maybe. But I can't understand why, if I can see it that clearly, why it's still there. But it's, whereas I thought I was getting somewhere, and I know you don't really get anywhere, what's seen is that it's very solid, that me construct. It's but yeah, I can see it, and so when I stop contemplating, I'm obviously back in it. It's not like I stop contemplating and then it falls away. And does that make any sense to you? I mean, I don't know, maybe it's just my imagination playing tricks on me. I'm not sure. But it just seemed very, very clear that that's what's going on. That whole bubble of me has been created, and I can now sort of stand back from it when I'm contemplating and see that construct.
Yes, so you are saying that you see the me construct, you see the me bubble, the whole me process, and so what is your question about that?
What do I do with that? What it seems now I've seen it so clearly, it seems almost impossible.
Well,
how would you get out of it? How would you?
Well,
I thought with my contemplation and times of peace and happiness that something was moving, but when I see this bubble clearly, it's obvious that it's very believed.
Right. It's very believed until it's seen, and when it's seen, so like we believe that we are this mortal body mind, yes, and we feel that, right? And then somehow we see that that's a construct, and we see that even the feeling level is a resonance of that construct.
Yes.
The body expressing that construct. So we see that, and at the moment of seeing that, we are not identified. At that moment, there is something that is not identified because of the seeing. When the seeing is absent, and then the identification is going on sort of blindly, you could say, and our actions and our behavior is inspired by that identification. Yes? We are acting and we're feeling as a separate self, as a man or a woman. But the moment of seeing, there is a disengagement from that identification. And maybe a moment later, the mind may arise and say, oh, well, I want to write a dissertation about it, or I want to package something.
Mm.
I want to take something home.
Mm.
And so then it's, at that moment, it's standing apart, it's objectifying, it's creating something, an object.
Mm.
And we are back to the separate subject.
Mm.
And then as a separate subject, we'd say, well, I don't get it, I don't understand it, or whatever.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
It's a, let's say that the pattern of coming back to thinking as a separate self is still has some energy in it.
Mm.
And it arises again
Mm.
to try to reassert its story. It's just the me story. It's habitual conversation.
But it doesn't seem to, unless it comes to me in a contemplation like that, it doesn't seem to be happening in my daily life. Like it's very clearly seen that there's...
Can you clarify what you mean by it doesn't seem it? What do you mean by it?
What I mean is I forgot the other part of it. So it's really clearly seen that there's this bubble of me that I live in the majority of my day, if not all my day, and believe it and feel it and sense it. And I'm trapped in that bubble. But when I see that, it's also clearly seen that it's almost seen like when that drops, there's not going to be anything. There's just going to be the body.
Well, that's speculation. That's speculation. You see that there is a bubble and that you're identified, and you see that it's just thoughts and sensations.
Yeah, but it's almost like I can see the other side of it as well. It's not like speculation. It's like I know it. It doesn't feel like speculation. It feels like I know what that would be. I know what that is.
What it will be, we don't know what it will be.
No.
We don't know the future.
Mm.
So you know what it is. So right now, in this moment of non-identification, what is there? What is there to say? It's just the peace of presence.
Mm-hmm.
There is the stillness of presence, yes. There is the inner silence. There is the peace of the mind. And there isn't any seeking or lacking activity in the moment of being, right? So if you go to this moment, right, in this moment, there is no bubble, no story, no image.
Yeah, no.
Just this. And so in this moment, there isn't really much to say about this moment. Because the moment is what it is. And there isn't much to say about it, and there is no need to say anything about it. But if we're going to say anything about it, I would say that there is just presence, peace, or whatever. There may be some stirring.
Well, I think what I'm realizing, Magdi, is that, and I talked to you about it last time I spoke, that I don't know if it's just my mind saying this, but it's not. It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel right. It just feels off. Still feels off.
When you say it doesn't feel right, what do you mean by it?
The experience still feels like...
Which experience?
The one now when I'm speaking to you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just, it's never quite there. And I don't know why I think that, or it's not alive. It's not alive. It's half alive or half dead. It's just not it. It's a person.
Okay, fine. I understand that. Now, can you just, right now, just for a moment, suspend that thought? I'm not saying ignore it. Just pause it. Just pause that thought that this moment is not alive or is not right or something like that. So then, here we are. There is this perception. There is the breath. The breath. There is the sensation of your feet on the ground. There is the warmth of the body or the coolness of the body. There is awareness. And there isn't, it's not here or it's not fully here or it's not there or it's not alive. There isn't that because it's suspended for a moment, yes? Just for a moment. Yes, in this moment. And there isn't there isn't a next moment. It's just this moment.
Yeah.
This moment of being, yes?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's in a way, one could say that it's possible that this is always available to us. I mean, we can come to this moment of suspending thought. I'm not thinking about fighting with thoughts or abolishing thought.
No, I understand what you mean, yeah.
Right, just the moment of suspending thought and just...
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Yes.
There's always I think what I've just explained to you is when there's a hint of thought or mind around, but I'm not seeing that.
Right.
And when you say sort of drop it all, and I'm with you, it's easier.
Right.
But in my day, I'm thinking, well, this is it, but it's not it. But it's just thought.
Right. So if possible throughout your day, just like now, just suspend. I mean, yes, these don't arise. I'm not saying they don't arise, right? But we can suspend them just to come to experience sort of what this moment is. Because we know a thought already. Oh, it's not it. It's this. It's that. You know, we are very familiar with that, and it's okay. It's okay. But also, it's possible to just be in the peace where all these thoughts are for a moment. It's just waiting in the antechamber. In the antechamber. Is that an English word? Antechamber. Waiting.
No.
Waiting in the
empty chamber.
In the foyer. The foyer.
Oh yeah, yes, the foyer, like the reception. Or foyer. Yeah.
He's sitting in the reception, so we can, be with what is, as what is, without having any commentaries or about it, without saying, "Oh, now I got it." No. Without that, I got it, or "Oh, now I lost it."
I think what it is, though, is that I'm doing that a lot, what you're saying about the being, but there's sometimes a very fine veil over it.
Yes.
Which is mind, but I can't see the thoughts. Yes. I'd have to sort of dig them out.
Right.
Like when I was talking to you, they became, and last time I spoke to you, it happened as well. My thoughts became very clear, my hidden thoughts. The thoughts that are hidden in feeling.
The thoughts and the feelings are not a problem. Just contemplate what is it that perceives them, yes? There is the thought, the feeling. As much as possible, contemplate, what am I? What is it that perceives? What is the reality that perceives these thoughts and these sensations?
But what I'm saying sometimes is I can't see those thoughts and feelings.
And then there isn't much to do then.
No, exactly. It's just an uncomfortableness.
Well, if there is an uncomfortableness, then you could contemplate what is it that is experiencing this uncomfortableness. But I would say, if you could, just rather than thinking about it, go to the raw manifestation of this uncomfortableness in your body.
Because it feels like there's no thought. It feels, what I was talking about before, it feels quite still and peaceful, but it feels dead. So that's what I have to go to somehow.
If something is feeling peaceful and dead, then turn your attention to what is it that is perceiving that. Because that which is perceiving the object that is peaceful but dead, that which is perceiving that is not dead.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like a boredom with the stillness.
Like a what?
It's almost like being bored with the stillness. That kind of deadness. Bored with the stillness.
Yeah, bored with the... If you are bored with stillness, meaning there is a sensation or feeling of boredom, then turn your attention to what is it that is perceiving that? What is it that is defining that or perceiving that or experiencing that? Because that which is perceiving the boredom is not the boredom.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, that's great, Magdi. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Okay. Yes, Laurie. Yeah, I noticed you were somehow, sometimes the connection is like that. But I do check the YouTube channel, so if there's any comment or anything, you and others can write whatever you need to write on the YouTube channel. Any questions? Hello, Pradeep.
Magdi?
Yes, hello, Zoe.
Hi, Magdi. Well, first of all, I wanted to share a funny test for, some spiritual teachers will say, to see how you're progressing, go spend time with your family. But I found a better one yesterday. It's like, try to get your cell phone service transferred to another number. I was like, oh my goodness, what a gift.
Yes.
So,
and yet, my kids, they can do that in like it's nothing for them,
Yeah. So, I was reading this thing in John Klein that just was so powerful for me, and maybe you can comment some more on it. Somebody was asking a question about memory, and it was like, okay, if I can read what he said. The fact that it is remembered proves that it appeared in your global awareness. This is what we mean by saying consciousness and its object are one. And in this global awareness, things appear from so-called past or future, but they all belong to the universal present. In reality, therefore, there is no memory.
Right.
And it just it was like, whoa. So if you could talk about that.
it's so clear what Jean.
Oh.
That in fact, when we talk about time, time is just this thought. This is thought rising right now. You see, the thought of breakfast, this morning. But it's, in fact, our experience is always right now. It's always now, this arising right now. And whatever is arising right now is arising in the vastness. This borderless aware presence, yes?
Yes.
So when we talk about memory, an image arises or certain thought arises, usually it starts as sort of a sensation, and the sensation, then there's an image with a sensation. It's very subtle. It sort of arises in the body in a way, in the body space as a sensation and an image that we say, oh, that's my grandmother, or when I was in Paris or so. And but the arising is always arising in awareness, in presence, yes, in this moment of our presence. We never experience anything but this awareness taking on, you could say, the form of a memory, the form of an image, the form of a sensation, and colors and shapes and sounds, but it's always awareness, meaning the substance of everything that you experience is awareness itself taking on this form, one could say, although the form is actually formless, because the reality of all impressions is awareness, and awareness is beyond forms. It's this vast presence, it's the globality of being. And so in terms of how we live in the world, in terms of we live in the impression of time, that I am somehow moving in some reality called time. That model is a wrong model.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like that. There isn't a real time. Time is just a thought arising in the reality of awareness. So the reality of our experience is non-moving. It's beyond moving and moving and non-moving. It's beyond the realm of differentiations. Although at the mind level there are differences. There is inside, outside, blue and green, rain and snow and sunshine. Yes, at the mind level there are these distinctions. But it's like in your night dream. In your night dream, you have many places that you visit, many people that you interact with. Even in your night dream, you can be one moment a 10-year-old boy, and next moment a 15-year-old girl, and next moment you're a butterfly, you see. But in fact, none of this is actually happening. Mm. And the waking a dream is exactly like that, except it is less shifty than the night dream is much more shifty. So the real in the night dream is a weird reel. It's like there are different reels that are spinning at different speeds. While you could say that in the waking dream, it's just one reel, sort of to simplify it, one reel spinning at a certain relatively fast speed. So it seems that the continuity is the continuity of the form. In fact, the form has no continuity. The only continuity is what we could refer to as the eternity of consciousness. But the form in your experience is just this glimpse, this one moment. It's just this one frame, just this frame. And as you look at this frame, and you look at it not from the paradigm that there is an internal and external reality, but when you look at this, at your experience with a blank, no beliefs, no paradigm, you will realize in this moment that your perception is yourself. That perception that you're perceiving is substance, is yourself. There isn't any distance. In fact, you never experience any actual distance. There is no such thing as distance. There is the concept of distance. There is the belief in distance, but there is no actual distance. Now, in the experience at the mind level, meaning when we go to the human realm, meaning when we look through individual eyes, every set of eyes is perceiving from a different angle, but the dream is one dream. So it's like you are dreaming. There is a round table, and there are 8 people sitting around the round table, looking at the bouquet of roses on the table. Every person is perceiving the bouquet of roses from a different vantage point. And so as person number 1, you're seeing this frame. As person number 2, you're seeing that frame, and so on around the table. And from the perspective of person number 1, they do not know the perception of person number 2. And from the perspective of number 2, they do not know the perceptions of others, and so on. But from the perception of the dreamer, of you, you are dreaming all of these dreams, all of these perceptions. You are the actual knower of all these perceptions. You are creating them, and you are perceiving them through those individual eyes. So in a way, you for a moment, you let go of your globality, and you go to your personality, to your individuality, and you perceive just from that vantage point. So right now, for example, I perceive this screen, I perceive this couch. You perceive a different color couch or different room. The walls, the color of the walls that I perceive and the colors of the walls that you perceive are different colors. This is an example of how consciousness dreams infinite minds. But the contemplation is not the contemplation of separate minds, because we all agree that I do not perceive the table that you perceive, nor do you perceive the couch that I perceive. That is a given, that is a no-brainer. But what we do not realize is that the perceiver is one.
Yeah.
So the contemplation is the contemplation of what is it that perceives. What is the reality of the perceiver? So yes, this body-mind is wired in a similar way to the body-mind that we refer to as Zoe. to perceive a certain realm of colors and sensations and feeling of hunger or tiredness, etc. There is a similarity in the wiring. But when you contemplate what is it that perceives, you go to I. You do not go to the shape of the body or the color of the body or the age of the body or the location of the body or the time of day or the name of the country. You don't go to that. When you ask yourself the question, what is it that perceives, you always go to I. Oh. So right now you can ask, what is it that perceives? And it's I. When you go to I, you do not find any shape or age or color or gender, or you don't. You find that I is I. You find I, the formless I. And at that moment, you are coming in a way to, like in the night dream, you're dreaming these 10 people around the table. And when you ask yourself the question that we just asked, what is it that truly perceives? It's as if in the night dream, the dreamer is now saying, oh, okay, what is it that's dreaming? Is the dreamer is realizing I'm dreaming these dreams. So we're coming from the multiplicity of 8 or 10 people around the table. We're coming to I am the dreamer of these dreams. We're coming to the oneness, to the wholeness.
Oh. You know, Magdi, I was sort of reflecting with Esther last night, just how how there's much less fear in my life, and you know, just as the light shines brighter, or whatever, you know, whatever ignorance is removed, gosh, what an incredible gift.
Yeah, beautiful. Yes, it is. So there isn't, it's a high gift, let's say, to come upon the teaching and to come upon the guide that is your friend in the teaching.
Yeah.
It's a very high blessing, yes.
Yes, you know, life did not make sense before this.
Right.
Thank you, Magdi.
In a way, we all 7 billion of us on the same journey.
Yeah.
And you know, like in the marathon, some people are at mile 18, some people are at mile 2. As you know, as a figure of speech, as a metaphor.
Yeah.
So it's a journey from here to here, but it's a long journey.
Yes. Oh my goodness, yes.
Yes, and because of love, the reality of love, we are all blessed.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely everything is for us, though it takes a while to see that.
Yes.
In my case.
Yes, well, the impression of time.
Yes, thank you. Oh, thank you.
Okay, sorry. Laurie, you're right. The perceiver is one with multiple points of view. Yes. So we mistake our true self for the viewfinder versus the viewer. Yes. There are a few questions that a little bit piling up that I haven't gotten to. Maybe I can take this opportunity to see if I could address them. let me start with Jinpak. Jinpak, you were right. Hi, Magdi. I have a question for Satsang. Please speak about destiny. I have heard that we all have a destiny, but what does that say about free will? Well, you know, Jinpak, yes, we all have a destiny, and the destiny is to be here and to awaken. It's a universal destiny. It's an impersonal destiny. So we are all journeying from different villages and towns to the same destination. We usually use the metaphor of the ocean, that all the rivers and the streams are traveling towards the ocean. So your destiny and my destiny, everybody's destiny to awaken. There is no destiny at the mind level, in the dream. In the dream, there are infinite dream events, and all the dream events, they refer to the dreamer. They do not refer to the dream event itself. In other words, thought is not pointing to itself. Thought is a pointer from consciousness, pointing towards consciousness. In ignorance, we get confused. We believe that thought is the pointer, and we overlook that it's not the pointer. It is pointed. It is behind it. Consciousness is using it to point to itself. This is why we say the contemplation is the contemplation of going upstream, returning to the source, and not downstream, further and further from thought A to thought B, to feeling A to feeling B, and so on. In terms of free will, there is only one free will, and there are infinite imaginary free wills. There is one real free will, and there are 7 billion imaginary free wills. There is no such thing as a personal free will, because in fact, when you look closely, you will find that there isn't a real person. So the free will of the imaginary person is an imaginary free will. The only true free will must refer to its true source. And there is only one truth, one reality. That is the reality of awareness, consciousness, which has no name and no age. And it goes by all names and by all forms. Although it is formless and nameless, it can be referred to by infinite names and infinite forms without any discrimination. So the free will is the freedom of consciousness, of presence, of awareness. And that is what you truly are. Teresa, you had asked how to open to presence when there is so much pain, both physical and emotional. When there is so much pain, physical and emotional, attention and the clarity of inquiry does not seem possible. How to meet the pain fully from the silence, from who we truly are when the attention is engrossed in the false sense of me. I have been willing to meet enormous amounts of emotional pain as sensation, yet it feels like much of the time it is met from me, and it seems like the pain can get re-traumatized with this meeting. So how to have true meeting of pain from silence presence when it doesn't seem possible to connect as that? You need to set aside the belief that it's not possible. Because when you're looking at pain, whether it's physical or emotional, psychological, and you say it's not possible to meet it because it's blah, 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 you are putting sticks in your wheel. And also be watchful with using words like enormous, enormous. Which, although I understand that how it can feel this way. Every one of us has their journey, and in a way, I don't know if anyone is spared pain, physical or emotional. We all know it in a way. Sometimes it seems to be tremendous, and sometimes it's not trivial. And sometimes, it's possible to, in the midst of what is arising, also sort of be somehow in touch with something besides it or through it, let's say, that perceives it. But sometimes it just seems that the entire space is filled with the pain or the emotion or the feeling. And that's how it is. And it's okay both ways. When the entire space, supposedly the entire space, but when it feels and seems that the entire space is filled with the pain, then I wouldn't argue with it. I would just be there, and if possible, just don't go anywhere. Be completely there. Because in being completely there, doesn't stand apart from you. It may feel like, oh my God, it may kill me, but there is a magical thing about being fully present to what's arising, even when it seems that it's going to completely overwhelm you. Don't try to spiritualize the experience. When it's intense, just be completely there and allow it to kill you. Allow it to swallow you. Allow it to do what it's going to do with you. Completely surrender to it. When the mind comes in and starts to make a commentary about it, to think about it, oh, I can't do this, I should do that, it's too strong, or whatever. When the mind comes in with thinking about it, it's a form of, there is some sort of addiction to thinking. Because thinking is one of those most readily available tools to avoid presence. And in avoiding presence, because there is nowhere else to go, there is just the impression of being somewhere else than one is, which is this feeling of separation. But in fact, it's not real because there's nowhere to go. It's thinking is just some imaginary realm. It's an internal trickery in a way to avoid awakening. Not always, but this type of thinking that's trying to wiggle its way to try to make a story or make some commentary about something that's happening that is completely wordless. So you cannot think about silence and about stillness, because thinking about silence and about stillness is an activity. Thought is an activity, it's not silent. Silence is more like inviting thought to just to suspend it for a moment, to say, okay, I recognize that there is this tendency for thought to take me away from the pain, supposedly. And you recognize this tendency. So you invite this, so you invite yourself to allow the thought to sort of appear and disappear without following it. Pain can be like a hot fire that can kill the impurities, that can burn some impurities. It's not a bad thing. Psychological pain goes directly to the me that is resisting, hiding, seeking, arguing. Because psychological pain always refers to that separate self, to the me. And it's going straight on to the me. And so it feels really hot because it's getting close to it. And it's good to get close to the me, to see it, to see its how stubborn it is, how greedy it is, how envious it is, how argumentative it is. it's not a very beautiful thing to see. It's painful to see. But it's a good thing to see. Because in seeing, there is freedom. There is the freedom of seeing, you see. So the best way to deal with psychological pain is to die into it. Because the subject of the pain is imaginary, and in its dying, you are freed from this mirage. And attention, in terms of attention, attention can be focused onto an object, and attention can also be diffuse. So usually when there is psychological pain, there is a focusing of the attention. And it's a good time to invite the attention to be diffused, to be more global, to be embracing everything. So that it's not just focus on the pain, it's also perceiving the birds that are singing, it's perceiving the breath, it's perceiving the color of the walls, it's perceiving the hum of the radiator. So that there is much more happening with us than just the pain. And all this that's happening is happening in the non-happening. The non-happening is the spaciousness of awareness. It's always there. Even when it seems that it's contracting around a very specific experience, it's always there. So sometimes when you're traveling, you go through a tunnel, you see. There are tunnels. The tunnel can be 2 kilometers long. Before there was no tunnel, after the tunnel there is no tunnel. But all along, before the tunnel, during the tunnel, and outside of the tunnel, awareness is. At some level, nothing is happening. So invite yourself to the globality of being, the globality of presence, so that the psychological pain and the physical pain are not all what is happening, that there is much more that's happening. And at the heart of it, nothing is happening. Any questions? Okay, I will address one more question. Dear Magdi, through contemplation and observation, I'm seeing more and more the me dynamics. I also observe such dynamics in my family and friends. I notice that my mother has strong victimhood dynamics. constantly in the poor me mode and wants others, including me, to help her, feel sorry for her. I don't want to play this game anymore. I don't believe she is the big victim that she loves identifying to be. Can you recommend how best to be around her without agreeing with her victimhood? Well, her victimhood is her business. It's so sad to see so many parents are unaware of the impact that they have via their own vasanas onto the children. At the same time, you are born her daughter, so in a way, there is a design. It's designed for you. It's part of your path, part of your journey. To be around victimhood and to experience the sense of guilt and sense of duty that you have to save her or to bear her psychological way. And there are many ways in which you can seek some therapies to have a better relationship. And of course, she can also seek therapy if she's available to it, to smooth out, to bring some, to see through it a little bit. In terms of forming an identity, irrespective of what identity it is, whether it's the identity of the victim or the identity of the savior or the identity of somebody who's above all that, because there is also such an identity. Be careful. It's very subtle, the way the identification takes on many forms. It doesn't just take on the form of the situation that you are describing between you and your mom. It can take on many other forms. And there is, of course, in the psychological realm, we try to fix the identity, to make the identity more workable. But in what I share, that's not what I speak about. I do not speak about making the identity more workable. Of course, there are many therapists that can help you in that. What I speak about is being free of identity, being free of the identity of being a victim, being free of the identity of being a savior, being free of the identity of being a personal self, even as somebody who's above all of that. As long as you perceive me and another, there is identity. I'm not talking about in the practical sense. Of course, in the practical sense, when you go to the store, there is the grocer. When you go to the dentist, there is the doctor. I'm talking about identification, perceiving another as somebody other than yourself. The other is intimately yourself. Look right now in your experience. Your mother appears to you as what? As an image within yourself. Good image, bad image. This is thinking about the image. But both the image and the thought about the image are intimately within yourself. They're like your dream. Like you may be in bed dreaming about somebody and dreaming some thoughts and images about this somebody while you are in bed, not moving. So in fact, there is no other. But as long as you continue to perceive another, that's how the sense of me is maintaining itself. And in a way, is being stubborn, refusing to get out of the way. Some things take time to dissolve. Other things dissolve faster. But you can help the process by seeing how you're maintaining it and cutting it out, cut it out. At some point, you're able to see these thoughts that you're having about your mother. And the thoughts you're having about yourself and the emotions you're having about yourself. At some point, you get to see them. And in seeing them, there is a freedom that you have to take on that freedom. You have to accept that freedom and not go back over and over to what you've been doing since your young age. Let her be, just come to your freedom. Remain as your freedom. Keep coming back to those stories and those images, and you're spinning the same wheel over and over. You're spinning that same darn wheel. How can you be free of it if you're just spinning it over and over? You have a potential to see through that, and the responsibility for yourself and for the entire realm to cut it out. And how to be around her without agreeing with her victimhood is just the love. You know, there's no judgment in love. Can you meet her freshly, without the past, without the images? It's a challenge when things are so deeply rooted, but that's a challenge, to meet her freshly. Doesn't mean you have to live with her, or you have to fall back into the old patterns. Meet her freshly for whatever, maybe you have to meet her for lesser opportunities, shorter periods of time than before. But meet her freshly. And be watchful of your judgments, the old stuff, the past that you're bringing in. And if you're feeling it, sometimes you can't let it go. As soon as you meet her, you feel something. Embrace that, meaning that's there, part of the entire panorama. It can, if those feelings that you feel run you, they're taking on too much, giving them too much importance. It's a dynamic process. So we have to sort of explore it. See if it's possible to just be fresh with all of it, including whatever feelings are arising within you. Don't give them so much importance. Okay, as much as possible. Any questions? Well, thank you all. Very lovely to be with you. Anne and Lee, Esther, Holly, Gabrielle, Zoe. Oh, yes. Okay. A reminder about the retreat. Most of you know about it, that it's in April 6th to April 11th, the Costa Rica retreat. It's a month away. And if you are interested, there is information on the meetup, or you can just send us an email and we will share with you the information. Okay. Well, okay.
Thank you, Magdi.
Okay, and goodbye.
Thank you, Magdi.
Okay.
Thank you, Magdi.
Hello, Steve.
Steve.
Yes, good to see
Hi,
you.
Steve.
Hey,
Wonderful. Hello, Steve. Yes, yes.
I hope we can see each other soon.
Yes, that would be lovely. Yes, would be lovely. Okay.
Love.
Okay. Yes. Namaste.
Thank you.
Okay. Holly.